Something so undescribable about the sound of dry gravel crackling under my tires. Summer, sage, the dry grass blowing in the fields. My childhood comes back to me every time I get on a single speed. No gears, no thought processes, nowhere to go until the sun sets. I get on my bike and I ride and I ride and I ride. It takes me back to a place that money can't buy. It's my happiness. It's my happy place. It's all I really know or care about in this world is getting on my bike and riding down a long, winding road that goes to nowhere. The same road that always brings me home. I'm briefly posting this as proof of life because I want to talk about two other single speeds real quickly before I get into this bike. And as usual, ADD, I'm supposed to be cleaning the kitchen for Kimchi, which is the perfect time to film a video, right? So there's that bike. We'll be back to you in just 1 second. It took me years to convince Kimchi to get a single speed. Why would I want hydraulic brakes when I can have mechanical? Why would I want giant big fat tires that are gonna have little skinny ones? Why would I have no gears when I can have a bunch of gears? I think her last bike was a Ghost Grappler, and she was not a fan at all, nor was I. She wanted it because it was a pretty color, and she got it because it was a pretty color. This is a Surly Lowside, size small. She says she's 5'1", but I don't believe her. I think she's about 4'11" and 98 pounds soaking wet. Anyways, I have this geared that is a oval tooth 30, I believe, and then there is a 19 on the back. I have it geared for her, and I have it geared for where we live. I have piles of chain rings and cogs, and can change anything in a few minutes, but it's what I wanted for her, and honestly, now she won't consider riding anything else. And this is mostly stock. There's a couple little upgrades and additions. I've been begging her to let me get her a titanium handlebar, but because she's never ridden one, she doesn't understand the value of one. And while I'll put anything on this bike that she wants, she has to ask for it. And so we're waiting for her to get ready for that portion of her life. In the meantime, she's pumping these huge 26x3. I am completely envious of these wheels. I would kill to have 26 on my bike. So for her, she's not a great rider. She's a little intimidated by everything. She has one finger brakes, big, soft, fat. I'm sure I'm running these at about 18 right now. Tires, so she can run over anything, and she's getting good at running over stuff. But for her, this is really just a fun beach cruiser to ride around the neighborhood and hit the dirt trails and do some gravel grinding. And that's why it's pink, because pink is fun. I wish mine was pink. Actually, that's not true. But I like pink a lot. Okay, moving on. Yes, gears. What the hell? See that horizontal dropout? This bike will also be single speed, but not until October 1st. And the only reason I brought this out here was because I wanted to show, or at least talk about, my GrowTech brakes, which will eventually be on all my bikes. I absolutely love these things. I almost got taken out by a tourist in town the other day, and these brakes saved my life. They're flawless, they're easy, they run great, and they're affordable. And this will be the only single speed I have, as this beautiful one is getting put in a box and shipped off to the family warehouse. I tried to sell it and nobody wanted it. I thought it had a great price for what it is. And so she's going into mothballs, and we'll ride her again another day. But in our tiny house, our new house is going to be smaller than this. It's all about a single speed neutrino. And for what it's worth, these GrowTechs are the best brakes I've used ever. Obviously, if I was doing downhill or other applications, I might want something different. But for what I'm doing on all three of these bikes, the GrowTechs are a king. I just absolutely. Some bikes I build onto. This one was a stock Surly Lowside size medium, and I think everything has been replaced except the brakes and the wheels. I will do the brakes at some point, but what I have works and I'm fine with it. And again, with the wheels, I just, for lack of knowing anything better, I haven't gotten to that yet. This bike is exactly 27 pounds, not including the frame bag or the contents of the frame bag. It is now and has always been a single speed. It has horizontal dropout, which I could put gears on this. This bike will never have gears. And one of the first things I noticed about this bike and why I bought it, I've always looked at the Rat Ride, which was the original version of the Lowside. The only barnacles it has on the entire bike, other than one water bottle holder, is for the rear brake. I would have loved to have seen them port this internally and come out right down here. And then there'd be no cables and there'd be no barnacles, and it would be amazing. Oh yeah, shit. Front brake also. That's it. You can't put anything on this bike. I have been bikepacking now for just under 30 years. My first trip was across Catalina Island, and still one of the most fun bikepacking trips I've ever done. The hardness or skill level on that ride is about a 1 out of 10. Anyone could do it. A baby could crawl that trail. It's so smooth and easy. So as I get better, I get lazier and I carry less stuff. And so even though there's nothing on this bike, no suspension, no add-ons, no braze-ons, nothing, I can put a little frame bag on the front, my medium frame bag there, and my seat bag and my hip pack, and have everything I need for 5 straight days. These days I seem to think I go about 1 or 2 at the best, and honestly, I may never ever go again. I never know when my last trip is. I've been doing so many day trips and so many other things with my life, and I'm really getting used to coming home after a day and going into my big soft bed and having a refrigerator and a stove. I'm getting soft in my old age. So what did I do to this bike and why? It's 27 pounds, which is not heavy or light. I think most single speeds are about 30 if you're in a steel frame. I know of no steel frame made anywhere lighter than this. It is what it is. Surly makes good heavy bikes. All steel bikes are heavy. And I changed things out as I needed them for reasons. I went and got into the turbine, which is a race face, because the cranks that came with it were 175. Kimchi's are 170 on a size small bike, which is ludicrous. I want to change hers, but again, she has to ask me. And then when she does, I will. I like to let her make her own decisions on the bike. And so these are a 170. I would ride 165, except I think I don't know what my inseam is. At single speed, if I had gears, I could do 165, but at 175, these are perfect. And this bike is the fastest bike I own. If I'm going in all day, day in, day out, 8 hours a day, on average, this bike does everything every other bike I've had does. And it's all a matter of gearing for the ride I'm going to do. And so I have a different cog, a different chainring, and a different chain for every different imaginable terrain that I can ride. And while I rarely, actually, I don't know if I've ever switched this out since I got to it. I'm going to flip the bike around so you can look at it a little bit better. These are the stock Tektros. They're completely average and they work, and they've always worked, and they're fine. And same thing on the front. I've got a 180. It came with a 160, and that was one of the small changes I made. And everything else here is what it is. I bought this bike. Well, actually, I didn't buy it. Kimchi bought it for me for Christmas. Thank you very much. But I wanted this bike to be a beach cruiser that I could ride around the world, and also an apocalypse bike. There is no carbon on this bike. There is aluminum in certain areas where it makes sense. Cranks, stem, things like that. This bike is virtually indestructible, and I have probably enough replacement parts on this to last well through my lifetime. So again, I've settled in my current physical condition, and where I live, that is a 19-tooth rear cog, and on the front, it's a 170 crank with a 30 oval tooth, and that's all that is. These are the Recons, and these are the 60 threads per inch. I would much rather have 120. I don't know why I ended up with these, but this is what I have. I even have a backup set of these. A little stiffer, a little heavier. I feel like I've ridden a lot of tires and maxis just at the end of the day. They're lighter, stronger, faster, regardless of all the marketing and what everybody says about all the other ones. You know, I know one of the biggest tire manufacturers in the world won't even post the weights on their tires. They're so heavy. Anyways, maxis are pretty dang good. The Chronicles were the best. I'm still bent that they're gone. And if I had it my way, I would drop this from 27.5 to 26, put 3 inches on it, and this would just be the most fun bike on earth. The one thing that never leaves my bike is my Rogue Panda frame bag. Everything there is custom made. I had him put a little shelf in here so I can store certain things here, it ends here, and then on this side, and then on the other zipper pocket, it goes right up the middle. And so I have a small flat area and then a larger flat area. I don't know, I put tools or whatever in there. Anyways, this never comes off my bike. That's the one thing that stays on forever. And then the Thompson seat, because I like Thompson, and gravel saddle, whatever. Not a lot to change on a Singlespeed. And of course, we've got the Chris King. And I'm going to go ahead, since I seem to have been complaining lately, and bag on my LBS. I have a guy in the islands that I love, and he's done most of the things that I can't do. And I just happened to be away from him. And another guy who's been on the island for a long time, he's a grouchy old coot. He's like, oh yeah, that kid doesn't know much, does he? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I just wanted to use this guy's shop and pay him for it and put my stuff together, and he insisted on doing it. It was almost as if he had never installed a headset before. The King is completely crooked. I didn't even notice because he kept getting in the way. I'm like, oh, I don't think you're doing that right. And kind of getting it. Anyways, I was so irritated that he was bagging on my friend, and then had so much struggles doing this. But I guess we all get old and whatever. And then this is my Rover tie bar. I bought this in Asia, and I kind of got it because it was the closest I could come to the Surly Sunrise bar that I really loved the geo on it. It's 16 back and I think 6 up and blah, 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 whatever. I had contacted one of the biggest titanium manufacturers out there, and I asked about the weight. When you're my age, weight matters. When you're hauling bikes up and down, weight matters. And these arrogant little pricks, he sent me the funniest letter I've ever read. Who cares about how much it weighs? Why don't you ask about our brilliant designs and our modern this and this and that? I'm like, bro, it's a 22 millimeter straight bar that you bent. There's no science to it. Anyways, he didn't get my $400. Rover did. And then of course, whatever, I don't know who makes that bell, but every one of my bikes has them. And so that is the whole bike. I use it right now, and I just ride around on a nice sunny day. It is an almost upright riding position. You can see the height of the handlebars relative to the seat. It's very comfortable. This bike, when I get on it and I roll, I don't think about anything ever. The gearing is perfect for this island. I can just ride and ride and ride. The brakes are perfect for the island. The tires are perfect for the island. Everything is. When I go to the other islands or I go to the mainland, might have to change some things out for steeper hills or whatever. But I'm trying to keep this as normal as I can. And it's just like, I'm going to bang over to the grocery store. I'm going to ride it up to the dentist. I'm going to go over and see a friend. It's just a beach cruiser that I can ride around the world if I choose to. And it's also an apocalypse bike. I've built a lot of bikes in my days. And I have to say that the geometry on this is probably the most chill of any bike I've ever had. It's very close to the Karate Monkey with the exception of the front fork. And I really loved the Karate Monkey, which I've heard is discontinued. And I've also heard that this might be discontinued after this year. So this is the last of the Mohicans, which is sad because Surly started their whole company on the Rat Ride. And this is the modern Rat Ride. And so that is just a couple notes on this bike. I love Singlespeed, and I could never convince Kimchi to ride or the benefits of it. And so I bought her one. And one time around the block, she's like, oh, I don't have to think about what gear I'm in. This is so easy. My big fat tires can run over anything. I can use the brakes with one finger and I don't get scared. It's a simple bike for her. It's a reliable bike for her. It's a pink bike for her. And more importantly, she enjoys riding it more than any other bike that she's had. And I worry about her less on that bike than any other bike. Every time she left on the Brompton, I have to expect to see her come back with no teeth. She's an entry-level rider with 16-inch wheels and brakes that take some concentration. And on the low side, I don't worry about anything. I just put her helmet on and push her out the door with some snacks. Anyways, that is my low side. I thought I'd do a little show of it before I put it on mothballs. It's sad to put away, but my life just doesn't fit this bike right now. It's all about space and what we do with it.